Turns out, sprint training reps don't matter as much as you think. You've been sold a lie about the fastest way to get fit. Not a malicious one, a well-meaning one. Scientists genuinely believed it. Your personal trainer probably still does. The lie goes like this. Do 4 to 6 all-out 30-second sprints, rest, and you'll get the cardiovascular gains of running for hours. Short, brutal, efficient. Except turns out, the number of sprints you do might be almost completely irrelevant to whether you actually improve. So if more sprints don't make you better, what does? Before we answer that, let's establish why anyone cares about this in the first place. The world is busy. People don't have time for traditional endurance training. For decades, exercise scientists chased a holy grail: maximum fitness improvement, minimum time investment. Sprint interval training looked like the answer. You could do something in 15 minutes that might match an hour of steady jogging. That's a genuine game changer if it works. But there's been a problem brewing underneath. The standard protocol, those 4 to 6 30-second sprints, is way more exhausting and unpleasant than the fitness industry likes to admit. Most people hate it. Most people quit. So researchers started asking a smarter question. What if you could get the same results with fewer sprints? What if you could make this actually sustainable? That's where a team led by researchers at the University of Stirling in Scotland decided to dig in. Hutchinson, Kinghorn, Hall and their colleagues ran a massive meta-analysis in 2026, combining findings from 93 separate training trials across 78 different studies involving over 1,100 people. They weren't doing new experiments themselves, they were synthesizing what everyone else had already found, which is often where the real truth lives. Here's what they actually did. They took every credible study on sprint interval training they could find, going back years through May of 2024. Each study had to have one core requirement. People did repeated all-out cycling sprints for at least 2 weeks, and researchers measured their maximum oxygen uptake, that's VO2 max, the gold standard measure of aerobic fitness, before and after. Then the researchers layered all that data together like geological strata. They asked, when we look at all of this, does the number of sprints per session predict how much someone improves? Think of it like this. Imagine you're collecting every restaurant review ever written about pizza places in one city. Some places are fancy, some are cheap, some are huge, some are tiny. But you're not asking which restaurant is best. You're asking, does the size of a pizza determine whether people enjoy eating there? You're looking for the real signal underneath all the noise. And here's what they found. First, the headline. Sprint interval training works. Period. Across all those studies, people improved their VO2 max by about 8.3% on average. That's real. That's measurable. That's the difference between being winded climbing stairs and barely noticing. But here's the kicker. The number of sprints in each session? Almost completely irrelevant. Whether someone did 3 sprints, 6 sprints, or 12 sprints, the improvement was virtually identical. The researchers put a number on it. Negative 0.04% improvement per additional sprint. That's basically nothing. It's statistical noise. You could do half the sprints and get the same result, yet nobody's been telling people that. So what actually did matter? Time. Not per sprint time. Total training duration. For every additional week someone trained, their VO2 max improved by 0.7%. That might sound small, but across 8 weeks, that's 5.6% additional improvement. Across 12 weeks, it's 8.4%. The relationship was clear and consistent. Want better results? Stick with it longer. Don't just hammer yourself once with more sprints. Train regularly, even if each session is gentler than you've been told to do. What does this mean for actual humans trying to get fit? It fundamentally changes the pitch. Instead of do 6 brutal sprints twice a week for 6 weeks, the data suggests do 3 sprints twice a week for 12 weeks. The total time commitment is similar. The suffering per session is way lower. The results are the same or better. That's not a small shift. That's permission to be sensible about this. It means if you hate the classic protocol, you don't have to do it. You can do less, more often, for longer, and reach the same destination. For anyone with joint issues, low motivation, or just a normal life full of responsibilities, that's genuinely liberating. There are limits here worth acknowledging. This analysis was all about cycling. What happens with running sprints or rowing? The answer's unclear. The science isn't there yet. Also, these studies typically involved healthy people who weren't obese or dealing with major disease. The results might look different in other populations. And there's always the meta-analysis trap. When you combine dozens of studies with slightly different methods, slightly different populations, slightly different definitions of all out, you smooth over details that might matter for your specific life. But here's what's genuinely interesting about this research at a bigger level. Sprint interval training became famous partly because of its efficiency claim. Fewer sprints, we assumed, meant less efficiency, less benefit. It was intuitive, more stimulus, more adaptation. Except that logic broke down. The body doesn't care if you do 3 sprints or 6. It cares that you're consistently stressing it in a certain way. That's a weird finding. It suggests our intuitions about exercise are still wrong in pretty fundamental ways. What else are we wrong about? Does the weight you lift matter as much as we think? Does running speed matter more than consistency? Do we need as much variety as fitness culture insists? Those questions are mostly unanswered. Here's the thing that sticks with you about this research. It's a study about doing less. In a fitness world obsessed with more, harder, faster, and suffering as proof of effort, this is radical. It says you might be working too hard for no extra gain. You might be hurting yourself into quitting when you could be succeeding by being reasonable. That's not sexy. It's not going to sell a lot of expensive training apps, but it might change how normal people actually approach getting fit. Turns out, scientists have been busy, and they're not done yet.